That's better, I think. Now, if I could only know whether I am actually audible. Let me just check my device here. And welcome to Orchid Ninja Julian's son. Thank you so much for being here so early. I really appreciate it. Muchas gracias. And welcome to the patio. Here in southern Spain, last weekend of June. The summer is going far too quickly for me. Okay, I'm going to take that music down. I'm getting some ads, which is much needed. And let me see what we're up to. That's you saying, Julian's son. I suspect it's not my doing, though. Got 6 months ago. Just, oh well, it is. It has to be your doing, because if you've got root growth, then you're doing it right. Otherwise, after you've done all that you've done in the 6 months, sorry about the truck, that root growth that it came with would have perished. So, oh, Debbie Sanford, hello. Welcome to Spain. Buenos dias. I hope you're already having a great day. I'm sorry, I'm just getting orientated to make sure that I've got sound. And, well, I hope so. I'm just going to pretend that you do. And what you're seeing here are two of my precious Ridiculous Lalias out of a collection of about 33 of them. These are the summer blooming ones, not as long as Spike. They don't need it because the terrain where they come from, there is nothing there to stop any pollinators from finding them. And many of them bloom white or pink. So on the left is Laelia gracilis. And I'm very happy that this one is doing so well because she was a gift from Michael McCarthy, Melissa Walker, and the Orchid Room. So this one's back in bloom again. She's been in bloom for about 2 weeks now. And just coming into bloom, or just bloomed, opened her blooms, is my Ketiana. Love this one. And the next growth down here has a spike coming out of it as well. So while both blooms are white, the Ketiana has a tiny little blush of pink on her sepals. Or no, on her petals. So, just doing a sound check. I'm going to raise something up. Yes, you can hear me. That's great. Awesome. Okay, so I have a candidate here, and I'm going to be moving my kitten caboodle so that we can get into this repot. It is my Epicatanthe Seongyu Gold Coast, which has been growing extremely well. Looks very nasty. That's why we're doing a nasty gawk and talk today. Tripod is on the move. I'm going to try and keep it steady. We're doing a nasty gawk and talk today because of certain conditions in my environment that this orchid doesn't appreciate, and I refer to the winter months. I know it's very dark. Give me another 15 minutes. That glare from that table needs to go, and that's why I actually started this a little bit later to hopefully not have the glare, because once that's gone, we can see clearly. But let me move you in. Maybe we can avoid the glare. And I cannot manipulate the camera, but hopefully you can see some of the leaf damage. That is cold damage to leaves. Cell structure declines, breaks down. I have never managed to get this orchid to grow nice and clean, even though I throw calcium nitrate at her on a regular basis, almost consistently. Julie's Orchids. Welcome to the patio. It's so good to see you, Samurai Julie-san. Thank you so much for being here. I know it is a 30 minutes later than, what you would probably prefer. Just hoping to counteract that backdrop glare, because I saw in another live that the lighting was better once the sun had moved. Anyway, so being a bifoliate, if she's not happy, then things are going to go horribly wrong. However, I am not going to blame the root decline in this pot, which it is completely gone. I'm not going to complain about that. No, I'm not rotating the device. Stop. No. I made this on horizontal. Don't tell me to rotate my device. Stop it. Give me my device back. I hope you can see what I'm doing. Please stop. Oh my word. Anyway, I'm just going to continue. I can see that at least the screen is doing what it's doing. This thing wants me to go back to, but I am on horizontal. Anyway, so the death in this pot on the root front has nothing to do with the leca, and I'm putting her back into leca today. It's a bifoliate, and eventually they will dump their roots. She had a sensational root system the last time we saw this orchid when we repotted her, and I almost melted to the point where I even included that emoji. So that's why I didn't take her out before, because I wanted to show you how easy she's going to come out. And all the roots that are from yesteryear are perished. This was the root system that came out of that pot with an amazing, amazing result. And you can see that I've got nice viable roots, so this orchid is okay being a bifoliate with my cold temperatures in the winter. And that's why I'm not concerned compared to other bifoliates that I have switched into lava rock. And that's when I also thought this might be a great candidate to show you that not all bifoliates struggle with leca. When it comes to evaporative cooling, it's just a question of understanding why roots perish. And orchid roots have a certain lifespan. Not so much the terrestrial orchids, but epiphytes, yes. They're not always going to be around to amuse us with their gorgeousness. So what I'm going to do is just reposition you and try and keep my hands as clean as possible. There's something about, yes, of course my hands are going to get dirty, but I don't like to show them dirty on camera. So I hope everybody's having a great morning, evening, had a great day. Linda, it's good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us here on the patio. Us being because King has just joined the scene. Now, I'm going to try and get you down a little bit lower. So this is hopefully going to work out much better. I'm a little bit annoyed as to why the screen is telling me what it's telling me, because it's blocking out what I need to be seeing so that you are in focus without me doing the chameleon act of looking at my second screen. Tisk tisk. Anyway, right, so apart from the fact I saw some new root growth starting a couple of weeks ago, I also have 3 new growths coming on this orchid. So we have one somewhat advanced here, another one there, and there's one coming out in the back here. So that's going to be what a boost to the root system that we're seeing now, still intact, coming in the future. And I may even be able to coax this new growth to activate right here if I do not bury the rhizome. That's just a little bit too low for my liking. So I'm going to take my time with this. I do want to get as much of the dead root system out. Not like with our project of last week, the Gulf Green Hair Pig, which is doing great, by the way. I keep misting the surface of the leca to make sure that the roots just get into the pot. So last week we could bury the rhizome. This week I don't want to do that as much. And I want to be a little bit more on top of what I'm going to cut out. Not be as, well, I just want space and we're good to go. Because I don't see that this should be too difficult. Considering she's only going to, yeah, no, wait. I have the same pot size for her to go into because I don't have a larger pot for her. And we may also be taking off some of the back bulbs to make her fit for another couple of years. So a lot going on in this repot. And if I don't constantly talk, then I do apologize. Because when it comes to something like this, especially with new growths, I did a repot, a cleanup of my, whatchamacallit, or steady eye. It may be one of those very long videos, but the one that capitulated to the cold because I had it up against a wall, lost 50% of the orchid, so I did a cleanup on that, and I popped off a growth. So spoiler alert for when that video comes out. It's not that big a deal when it comes to that orchid because she was so vigorous. But that's not my stomach, that's me pushing the chair back, because when I do this, sometimes I sit, sometimes I have to stand up, depending on what the hip and the back can handle. So the Orchidea I could handle losing a growth. It's just annoying. I was just on the home stretch, you know, after almost a full hour of trying to get into where I needed to go to separate her. But anyway, as you can see, that is not what we're dealing with today. I was actually thinking, should I make that one a live stream? And I thought, oh no, because I couldn't gauge a time frame. I'm glad I didn't make that one a live stream because I was pretty quiet for the most part. So I can edit all of that out. Anywho. So what's been going on this week? We've had a lot of wind. I've lost my purpurata blooms very quickly. And we had a lot of wind again because last week we had a lot of wind. And then we had what I would consider, I know this sounds crazy, but for southern Spain, third week of June, we had a cold front come in. I was like, what is going on? I was so close to putting a sweater on again, and I protested that because in my mind, I'm like, in June, a sweater. Yeah, no, that's not happening. It was great for the orchids, though. I mean, they got a little bit of a break, a breather. It was also awesome for me because I could really fertilize much more. Let me just say, I could be more courageous. I could fertilize heavily because the roots, the aerial roots weren't drying out so fast. Everything could be absorbed. I wasn't going to risk, at least that was my judgment call. I wasn't going to risk any kind of root tip burn, etc., etc. But it was very strange. And to be here in the shade, while it's nice and breezy, the breeze is not exactly warm. Very strange. But at least that helps the orchids a little bit. I'm still kind of hoping for some proper summer weather. I'm still not in flip-flops because I don't like cold feet. Oh, this is going to be great when she's cleaned up, especially here at the rhizome. Let me make sure I'm not shifting her out of your focus. And yes, I'll look at the chat in just a moment. Give me a couple of minutes in case you have any questions about anything that's going on in your collection. Give me a couple of minutes. I'm in the middle of where I want to be, getting roots off. You know, the choo-choo train of thought. Look at that. We still have some of the other roots as well. That's great. That encourages me with this orchid because I don't want everything in lava rock. The pots get so heavy. And I do have some physical limitations that are creeping in. And the heavier the pots get, it's not just the substrate, it is also, as the orchids grow, their structures add to the weight. And many of the pots, orchids in lava rock, do come out during the winter so that they can enjoy some natural light. So this is great for me to know that she'll be okay in Lekka. Right. We're going to take a short chatty chat break when I've gotten the support out, if that is what I choose to do. It could actually just stay in there. Let me see. Oh, the doggy's excited. They're excited, there's no problem. They're not hurting, they just sound like it. There's another dog that comes by the patio when they go on a walk. It's almost like somebody is spanking them or something, just gets so excited and makes that noise. Oh, and by the way, yes, there may be some... You see, this is the beauty about King. He's right at my feet, but he doesn't go and join in on the cacophony when something else barks. That has nothing to do with the patio. I love that about him. It's too hot outside for Baloo. He looks a little too poofy. Yeah, there may be cacophony, however, on my side of the hedge when my daughter comes home for her lunch break. So because I got dirty hands and I don't want to be touching anything, I probably won't get to muting. I don't want to touch my electronics with dirty hands or wet hands. Let's see. Oh, this is better than expected, considering how easily I could pull her out, but it's also better than expected cleaning her up. I thought I'd be here a long, long time and have to put my headlamp on. This orchid is gorgeous. Didn't bloom very well for us last year, which I couldn't figure out why. I didn't even showcase her because I just cut the spike off and I thought, nah, you rest. Oh, I can tell you why. Because she hasn't had this root system yet. That's why her blooming was very, very limited. I'm going to leave the support in, actually, change of heart here, because to thread that one back in, no. That would probably risk some roots. So we're just going to leave that in. If it falls out by itself, then we've got a fiddle on our hand, which we'll deal with should that happen, but I'm not going to intentionally take it out. So I'm going to answer my own question, seeing the root system, that the blooming last year of this orchid was nothing to write home about or show on video, because the root system had perished and she had to work on an entirely new root system. Make a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, that support is teetering on the edge of... Stop it. Well, it's going to annoy me. Come on. Two roots holding it back. We'll see what happens when we get to potting her up. Hokey cokey. Look at that. That's not too shabby. Thank you, little orchid. Let's get at the base a little bit. You see all that black? We don't want that. Late in the day, normally I don't like to do this, but I have to go at her with the sprayer to get all of this black off. I want to make sure that everything stands a chance. So let's have a little sit down and let's have a little chit chat and see how everybody's doing, seeing as I'm not here alone on the patio. So I'm going to take advantage of that. Excuse me, that's me just with the sprayer, because while we talk, I want the roots to stay damp. Oh, and this orchid also was hit by my parrot, my cockatoo. You see the damage on the pseudobulbs back here? That's why I'm considering taking these 3 off. This way she has another 2 or 3 years in the pot easily. Careful with the leaves, Nina. I'll just clean my hands. The same. Stop fiddling. You've got guests. Okay, stop fiddling. Right. Ah, vive la France. The Paris Olympics coming soon, if they haven't already started yet. I know they had swimming heats. Alrighty. Here we are. Bet, son, hello. It's good to see you. Bebe, welcome. It's good to see you. I hope you're doing well. Bruce, son, thank you very much. Hola, ¿cómo estás? Thank you for joining us here on the patio. Let me go back up. I think I have seen just about everybody that made it. Alrighty, my daughter's coming home. There may be cacophony. It is good to see everybody that took a moment to check out what's going on here on the patio. She's doing well. I have absolutely no complaints here whatsoever. So if you're anywhere near Paris, Julian's son, I have a feeling that you guys are going to be invaded very, very soon. I watched the Olympic flame arrive in Marseille. That was beautiful. That was beautiful what they did there. They just didn't stop. Wow, okay, Bet, make sure that you are really hydrated. Please. Muy importante. I've got my iced tea with me. I drink about 3 of these bottles every day, if not more. Let's see. I don't know, it's a liter and a half. Usually I drink about 3, which I'm going to do right now. So I was always wondering, soccer is now playing the European Cup. We've got the Olympics started, and I thought soccer was an Olympic discipline. So, but the amateurs go or what? I have no idea. I'm looking forward to the golf. I used to watch a lot of swimming. Anybody else? Olympic peoples here that like to watch these kind of things? I used to be a competitive swimmer. Butterfly and freestyle were my jam. Swam in the African Olympics as well as a small child back then. It was so cool. I loved swimming. I think that now if I went into the water and swam again, I would be probably coming back with some kind of a lifeguard. Gatorade, fantastic. Gotta watch those, excuse me, gotta watch those electrolytes. Yes, that's a great idea. Estoy bien, Señor Bruce. Orchid Ninja, Señor Bruce. San. Muchas gracias. I am in my element. I've got an orchid that is doing well. I've got company. I love it. Absolutely love it. So this has turned out pretty well. And I feel, yep, the picture has cleared up. That glare is gone. So we're just going to go in a little bit more. Just push our luck a little bit with all those growths there. And I said, thanks for the wind. I'm really going to need it because when I repot, it's usually around between 11 and 1. See that eye? I would like to see if, well, that one maybe not, but there's one back here that we can keep an eye on. Pun intended. And then we're just going to chop off these because we can do that. We have the luxury of time. And the fact that this just went so much better than I expected. This is awesome. I love it when things work out this way. I'll link for anybody watching the replay, or if you're interested to come back once the video has processed. Ah! You woman! You silly, silly woman! Ah! Oh well. Oh well. Okay, that is a sign. Stop. Get those pseudobulbs, be gone with them, be done with them, and then stop. I just saw this one last thing there. Ah! That could have been totally avoided. Silly, silly woman. Okay, so we're going to take off the back right here. That means we've got to get rid of the leca there. I want these gone. So let me make sure that this moment is at least captured. Wait, there's a root. Another thing I always do before I attack anything, my secateurs are closed. Ah, this one has viable roots on it. Where I cut one off, there's 2 more. So no, we're not going back all that way. We're going to take out the last 2. I only open my secateurs when I'm about to make the cut. I do not make a cut going in with the secateurs wide open, you know. I try to eliminate my mistakes as best as possible. King is right here. King. Can't show him to you at the moment. He's... Alrighty, let me just turn around. King, men. Men aquí. Chico bueno. I tried. There he is. There he is. Chico bueno, you gonna make a good lie down? Yeah, you're gonna make a good lie down? Bebe wanted to see you and she says hi. Okay, now that has gone all wonky, so excuse me once again. Well, he loves that. Keeps him out of the hedge. Oh, here we go. Might as well be fair. Monsieur Poofball doesn't care. His mama's come home. Now he's got to go see her. There he is. That would be Baloo. For anybody who is new and doesn't know the zoo. Oh, that rhymes too. Okay, let me make sure I lock you in so I don't jiggle you around too much more. There we go. Alrighty, I wanted to put cinnamon on that. Nurse 338.98. Welcome. This is good. This is great. It's wonderful to see you. Well, yeah, you know, things happen in life. I wanted to be a swimmer. I had a full scholarship to UCLA. Back in the day when I was doing butterfly, competitively, in Kenya, of course, but competitively, I had people at my high school helping me out, fill out forms for a scholarship. All I needed was a ticket to LA, and everything would have been paid for. And then my dad refused. You're not going to America. My sister was already there, but she didn't have a scholarship, so he was paying full, everything for her, full fees. I think he had enough. I only needed, like, back in the day, $1,000 to get to LA. And back in the day, this was 10 or 15 years before, let me just reference a German swimmer, because she went all the way to the Olympics, won gold, etc. In those days when I was competitive, I was beating the times that Franziska van Almsick was swimming when she won her Olympics, her Olympic gold medals. I'm telling you, I have a lot of regrets in my life. That one hurt. I used to be in the ocean. I used to train in the Indian Ocean. And it was all about the tide. So before going to school, if the tide was in, and it would be like out after school, I was in the water in the Indian Ocean 5 o'clock in the morning with my trainer, and he would have a little dinghy boat, and he would be next to me in the dark there with his lamp thing going, or whatever. And my training was against the waves. Whatever stroke I was practicing, I had to swim against the waves a certain distance, and my rest period was just kind of slowly floating back to where I could stand, and then repeat, always against the waves. You have no idea how much salt water I swallowed in my life. But when you do butterfly against waves, against the current, and then you get into a swimming pool, it's like you are flying. It was so easy. I was just cutting through the water. I felt there was no effort to it at all. To the point that we also reduced my times because my trainer said, you're coming out of the water too high. So he taught me to stay low, just enough to get my chin up to catch a breath and then go back down. And then we cut more seconds off of my total time. But doing the whole thing against the current and against the waves, wow. And that's where I also learned that salt water with open eyes just doesn't affect me. uh, I loved it. I loved swimming so much. And it was my dream to go to UCLA, but it didn't happen. Okay, so what we're going to do is take a little bit of this nastiness off. Something I didn't do with my other repot because muy delicado. I always wonder what my life would have been like. You see, Germany allowed me. They said that if they saw my times, and they said that if I qualified for the Olympics, they would give me, I didn't have to go to Germany to do the heats in order to qualify for the team. They said that with the training, for example, at UCLA, if they could see that my times were competitive, because UCLA back then was the swimming mecca for the athletes that are into swimming and water polo and stuff like that. So they said, even Germany said, the Olympic Committee said that it would be okay if my times stay steady and if I beat whatever heats they have going on and I qualify for the Olympic team, they would take me. Yeah. There's a word in French for that. I'm sure Julian, Orchid Ninja Julian's son, knows it. There's more words, but I'll just say merde. But that's why I love watching swimming. Because I feel like I was cheated out of my destiny somehow. Anyway, let me get my tweezers. And boy, I should have known back then when I left Kenya and my orchids, the alternative profession should have been horticulture, botanics, stuff like that. Man alive. What I know now about how I love plants, how I love being in nature, how I like dealing with things and understanding everything to the nth degree, how the curiosity just won't let me stop until I figure it out. But I went into the hotel industry because everybody said you speak 3 languages. And so it was hospitality. And everybody was pushing me to that because it was like the easiest alternative. So that's where I did what I did. And, you know, I loved it. Absolutely loved it. To the point where I said, okay, it's, you know, hospitality is running in my blood. It was easy for me. You don't, you know, make your work your hobby, so to speak, and you don't work a day in your life. That was hospitality for me, but boy, if I had only understood what working with plants back then. I just took it for granted, having them in the garden, in the trees, not really caring, not really concerned about culture. I didn't learn all of that. In the 90s, with my second collection, when I started figuring it out, I just thought, oh man, I missed another opportunity there. I hope my ramblings are of interest. I asked once, Debbie, le mot de comprendre. I asked him once when he visited me in Germany, and he promptly had a heart attack. So I never dared ask again because I felt as though I induced the heart attack. I just asked him as an adult, you know, as an adult now, understanding it, with all the disclaimers that went before my question, just to tell him I wasn't mad. I just wanted to know why, you know, because as an 18-year-old, you're just told, no, you're doing this. And I was like, well, I don't have a choice. It's not like I can whip out $1,000 and say, no, I'm going my own way. But yeah, no, he left the room. He was angry. And then maybe 20 minutes later, he was at the top of the stairs, scratching on the floor and I heard that scratch, and I thought, what's going on outside of the living room? And he was there on the floor, and he had a heart attack. So I don't know if that is my answer, but I never, ever dared ask again. And that is also when I was blamed for that by my estranged sister. I got another earful, and I just thought, okay, forget it, whatever. I wasn't mad. By that time, I wasn't mad. I was already, you know, doing other things, but he didn't pass away. He came through that heart attack just fine. So it wasn't like that happened and then I was responsible for stressing him out and passing away. I never actually considered it the trigger for the heart attack, but when my sister said what she said, I saw things differently, and I was like, well, she doesn't really know because, you know, she came back from the US after studying at Houghton College in Buffalo. What do you know? What I've been through, you know? Stuff like that. But I just thought, well, what if? And I just said, don't bring it up. For me, it was just an innocent question. Oops. But as a child, I had these tendencies to be quite direct. You know, what's wrong with a question like that? Once we're all grown up, let bygones be bygones. I would have thought anyway. That's how I raised my children. Always ask. Never, ever, ever feel you cannot ask. Sometimes you won't like the answer, but never, ever feel that you don't have a right to an answer on a question that you may wonder, aren't comfortable with, or why I decided what I decided. So what I'm trying to do is bend the support to fit into the pot. While it is the same size, the mask is different. It's narrower at the base. That's why it's going to look a little rudimentary. And the only reason I'm doing this is because we're live. I'm not going, there we go. I'm not going to waste your time. I'm going to have to remember this when I unpot it in a couple of years. I'm going to go, what were you thinking? Let's get that in there. So at least I've got witnesses to remind me if I ever do a video in the future and I'm like, excuse me, go home, snail, you're drunk, you know? Oh, thank you, Bette Davis. I appreciate that. That is very comforting. Thank you so much. LS, hello. It's good to see you. You branched off, or you wished you had. Instead of I chose food science, and you will work. That's exactly what I would love to do. I'm not kind of retired, but I'm not employable at the moment for the profession that I was in. I have too many issues with my body, my physical constraints, which I hope I'm not breathing heavily into your ear. Unless, of course, I'm laughing or inhaling. But Orchid Ninja Betson, I appreciate that comment very, very much. Meanwhile, it hasn't affected my life. It didn't change, thankfully. Thankfully, it didn't change my relationship with my dad either. So that is a good thing, because imagine if he had never spoken to me again and thought that I was just going to keep bringing it up. Sorry, I'm back here getting the leca because I didn't want to crowd the table too much with unnecessary things. And behold, I need to bring in the Coilostylus out of the sun, even though the breeze is cool-ish. And then I need to look for something, which of course I've thrown away. If you hear crackling now, I have to go to the kitchen. I forgot something. Drats. I'm back. And Ciliano's looking at me like, hello. And I'm like, yeah, I didn't even address him. I need a little pot to put leca away into the pot. So, yeah, I'm glad it didn't affect our relationship. So that was awesome. Rightio. Think. That was silly. I was known to mettre les pieds dans le plat. Oh, yes. Is that how they say it in French, Julian son? Ik breek mijn klomp. Or, I put my foot in my mouth. I'm guessing that is the translation, so to speak. The context as opposed to verbatim. Alrighty, let's get you in. And let's see what we've got here. Insofar as how low can we go? How low can we go? Stop cracking on me. Don't crack on me. And I want you a little bit further back because now I know your direction of growth, even though the back may activate. Just a tad, not all the way, just a tad. Oh, your roots, you should be in a tree. You should be in a tree. But anyway, here we are. Okay. My hand. Okay, we're gonna try this and get at least some large leca into there. You are kidding me. The mouth, the size of the pot doesn't fit into my large container. Good grief, I'm not going back into the kitchen. Ooh, I'm just looking at all my orchids out here, exposed to the sun. Yikes. Stay tuned for some nasty repots coming up. I'm gonna wonder why I've neglected some of my orchids. And I shall explain. And then we'll hope to do better by them. There we go. You stay there. Alrighty. Are we in position? Do we like what we see? It's all a little bit twisted and contorted here. There we go. Comme ça? A ver. A ver. I don't like this root looking like it's about to come out of the pot. So you're a branch. We're gonna just make sure you stay down there. Down. Sorry, guys. Down. There. So we've got 1, 2, 3. Alrighty, I like it. Let's get my third hand into place. It's large leca at the bottom so that I don't have to use so much of my small leca. And we have plenty of space, it'll fall in nicely. I'll keep going, but we don't want to create a gridlock either. Don't shift. And I'm actually, hopefully, well, I am anticipating a better blooming this year. Unless the repot tells herself, like, nah, not this year. I think you can see the leaves now, how damaged they are. And it happens every year. This is not any kind of, can I let go? Just quickly, don't move. This is not spider mite damage, although it looks like it. It's not a fungus, it's just cell collapse. I have a summer blooming phal with similar looking leaves. And you know what? I always tell myself when I can't seem to really make my orchids look 100%, I always tell myself, Nina, they're plants, you're doing your best, and you're not growing for a show. You know, imagine if I was trying to get my orchid to bloom and grow for a competition or something. I would be stressed out more, already am. I would lose my mind. So I keep telling myself, you're a hobby grower. And that works. It puts my mind at rest. Carrie, it's good to see you. Welcome to the patio. Thank you so much for taking a moment out of your day, which I hope is already going great for you. So this repot was, well, we're not done yet, but it was, oh, I love it. I was very happy, especially the way we pulled her out at the beginning. I was expecting so much more damage. And let's get the wire of the support out of the way. I was really expecting a lot more damage, so I'm very pleased with what we've got. And that's why she's going back into LECA for anybody that joined late and who is aware that most of my bifoliates are in lava rock because rescue, and they hated LECA. Today I did the entire pest treatment for all the rescue bifoliates, and if you want, I can show them to you. Right after we've done this, I was going to do another little video, which I can always do, but just so if you're not aware, you can see what I'm talking about. Why I'm pleased that this is looking better than what we initially had when we were just pulling her out of the pot. No squeezing, nothing. She was loosey-goosey in the pot. Ha! Cartwheels around the patio. Oh, and I have a nice glug of calcium nitrate to give to her, because I want those 3 growths to grow really well. I was a little bit saddened by this tiny growth down here, this one. But that one grew during the winter. It's as if she just wanted to grow and grow and grow. I can't fertilize heavily during the winter, so you are plain water. You go back in the bucket. You are RO water, but you go into the container, Benjamini ficus, and we are going to give you a nice glug of, I think I've got in this, not I think, I know, because I'm not diluting it. I have 800 parts per million of calcium nitrate. I know, a little bit overkill for this orchid, but I think it's a good thing for now. If the temperatures start to go really high and my humidity drops considerably, I am obviously going to dilute the calcium nitrate here to about 400, which would be plenty, but we're on a mission. We have 3 growths to grow, plus all the roots that we want her to have out of those 3 growths. And my tag is in my other catch tray. There we go. I love it. I don't need the support, so we're going to just bend the wire back in and away from any leaves so that no wind will poke against that wire, just to protect any stabbing incidences, also including into my eye. And then I am going to make some space, and I'm going to show you my other ones, which for everybody that's here, I hope you don't mind if I then also do a separate video, but not everybody is into the live stream format, which is understandable. Not everybody has time, which is also understandable. And let me just move her away. Oh, happy days. I love this. I'm going to bring you one of the ones that I was very, very worried about. And that's when I started to make the switch into lava rock, because I did experiment for many years with my Sagaric Wax African Beauty with LECA ratio to get it right. And if I had experimented one more year, she would have been a goner, and I don't want that. Alrighty, please excuse the dusty leaves. I do not mess with this orchid, wiping leaves, etc. I do pest treatments because bifoliates and scale just seems to be a match made in heaven. Hell for us growers, but there we go. This here, let me get you down a little bit more. Ha! This is the new growth. Oh, I'm pleased that she even managed to pull this one off. Now, if you see any bodies or any white dots, those are dead bodies because she was treated this morning. New growth. No problem. I love it. I was expecting a smaller growth than this and new roots coming. So that's why I went with calcium nitrate today, because pest treatment and a lot of calcium is going into them. But this is why she is in lava rock, because I almost lost this orchid. You can see the growth that she should have right here, and I almost decimated her completely, but she's back. Not in bloom, probably for another 3 to 4 years, but this is awesome. I'm loving the visual of that. Now, another one is my little fairy. Same story, bifoliate, Catleanthe, and you can see the growth that she should have. And she grew this with me, but this is when I was heat mats. I was still using heat mats. I was still doing the artificial lighting 2018, 2019. All that stopped when I lost my job in 2020. And bit by bit, you can see how everything kind of declines and gets smaller and smaller. So she was okay in leca up until she couldn't have warm roots. And she is growing a new growth. This has only just started. I was so worried. I'm like, look, I'm not losing leaves, and she is pest-free as of today again. But I saw this eye, and I'm like, oh, we are going to be okay. But you see, oh, even now I had to put the pot down because it's for me, it's very heavy. But also lava rock. So when it comes to rescuing, this is awesome. And I'm going to show you one more. And she was doing really well, but I think that my Siamese doll kiwi has underlying issues. Again, if you see white spots, that's just dead bodies because they were all dealt with this morning. But you see here, look at all those, everything that's going on back here is kind of, for me, that she has underlying issues, and I think it's Fusarium, which is advancing probably along the rhizome in the back because we've lost leaves very, very quickly. And this happened after her second repot with me, second repot. And of course, if her winter conditions aren't ideal, then, there will be problems. And if an orchid has Fusarium but was doing well before, that Fusarium is going to kick in. So the plan with this one, and I'm probably going to do that on a video, it has to happen now because she's growing a new root right there on her root system. This is the stage I like to repot them at because that's the least amount. At that point, I don't do that much damage. But anyway, she is going into lava rock as well. And then I want to cut off as much of the back as possible and start her again because clearly, you see that? Yeah, the roots might be dead because of the evaporative cooling of the leca, but there's too many little signals here that are making me think, nah, we've got something else going on here. We shall see. So that will be a video very, very soon. I really have to push hard now on my repottings because I've got some roots that are longer than I like, and I've got orchids that are in broken pots that need a nicer, more pristine pot. So let me put you back with the beauties, with the blooms, since our project is done. Amazing. Can't believe it. That's awesome. Oh, excuse me. Sorry for bumping you guys. Sorry. One moment, please. One moment for the jiggles. Everything has to come along. Even though, oh gosh, look at that. That's awesome filmography there. Fantastic. I'm sorry. This is probably why people don't like live streams. They're like, yeah, this is exactly why I don't participate in live streams. There's jiggling around, there's too much distraction, not staying to the point, etc., etc. So why are you so wonky? Aquí. Hecho. There we go. And let me check if that is even. In focus. Kissy. To the left is my Dinard Blue Heaven, and she is in sheath. Now, all we can hope for is that she will bloom for us this year. I don't feel anything in that sheath, but never mind. Also starting new growth, but we just repotted her last year, so. Right. Yeah, typing is hard. I love the autocorrect. They should rename that auto-guess. Especially when I'm trying to type in the evening. It's like, eh. Okay, so whose plants? Who's getting new plants? Oh, I'm going all the way back up. Who's getting new plants? Let me go up. Okay. Mona. Hi. I don't know which language I should choose. Einen wunderschönen Nachmittag wünsche ich dir. Buenas tardes, Mona. It's good to see you. Me encanta que tienes tiempo para participar en este estreno. And good afternoon, Mona. I am so surprised YouTube allowed your comment to come through. With 3 languages and a single comment, I thought, they delete other comments, but this comment of yours, all the languages, I was wondering, I wonder if my reply is going to go through. It's good to see you. I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. Okay, so I take that off because for me, bifoliates are very pest prone. I get a lot of scale that like to hide in the sheath, and when they come off that easy and the pseudobulb has been matured for a considerable amount of time, they can come off. This way I can keep an eye on what may be or wants to populate itself underneath. Makes it cleaner. I don't on many orchids though. Sometimes in the winter, when I bring them in, some orchids I do clean off the sheaths, but it all depends which orchid that is. Okay, Linda, I appreciate that. Thank you so, so much. I don't usually sound my own trumpet, but I'm not an incredible swimmer anymore. But I was. I'm 6 foot tall, so I had a wingspan. And yeah, that's why butterfly became my speciality. Alrighty. We got that one, we got to that comment. Orchid Ninja Bet Davis son says, I strapped a Trichocentrum olipalma to a limb and wrapped in artificial white filter type fabric. I'm still learning the basics. The pot wasn't working, roots got removed, and the roots got removed that could have stayed. Yeah, I lost my Trichocentrum. I had it in a pot. I had it on a mount, an inorganic mount with the hob filter material for some years. Okay, it was on sale. I got a plant that looked like it had been chewed by a puppy, but that wasn't the point. I got it all wrong. And then I tried it in the pot to have more humidity around it, and I did lose it eventually. It's a shame. I really hope yours pulls through. I do like Trichocentrums a lot. I love their growth habit. They're fun. You're envious that you're not able to do anything. I know, and I hope that you are healing. I am glad you mentioned it here, Debbie. I would not have said it, but I hope you are healing. So the fact that you're able to water your orchids, I consider that fantastic. That means you're able to walk around, hopefully, and you can do things slowly, and you can fuss around with your orchids that way. Morten Lund, it's good to see you. Welcome to the patio. Do you have a Psychopsis orchid, and if so, what has your experience been with this type of orchid? I do not have a Psychopsis orchid, and let me just say, if the spike had been half, 80% shorter, I would have had a Psychopsis in my collection because I think the blooms are just fantastic. But because of where I have to situate and position orchids, I have shied away from purchasing orchids with long spikes. Now, I have to also admit that I do have some orchids with very long spikes, but they all live outdoors all year round. So when you see a long spike in future videos, you're like going, well, that's because they live outside. I do less damage. During the winter, I have to shuffle a lot of orchids. It's too risky. And for that reason, I never bought a Psychopsis. And in hindsight, I am so glad that I didn't, because they like to be hot growers. They don't, warm, hot. They don't like it cold. Now, while I haven't grown one, I know a lot about them because I was researching them heavily before I went into buying them. And they like a lot of water. I have heard or read some articles on Orchid Board that say let the media dry out. I disagree. They are like an oncidium type. They have somewhat fine roots. That is a lot of water and a lot of humidity and nothing. I don't know, Morton, where you are in the world. You sound very Nordic to me, but it's nothing below 20 degrees. And if you can keep your humidity up to 70, that is great. That is great. Light levels, as far as I'm concerned, depending if you've got some mottling that can show on the leaves or if your leaves are just plain green, you should have a blush of anthocyanin on the leaves as a signal that you're giving it plenty of light. And they are heavy, heavy feeders. Calcium and let's just say like a catacetinate, if you give a catacetinate a calcium, it's just going to take over the pot, for example, the structure, the speed. Psychopsis may be a slower grower, but they need their calcium. Their structures are thick, they're leathery. The cuticle needs to be protected with a lot of calcium so that there is no weakness that can creep in. Because of the high humidity and the amount of water this orchid needs, you need that calcium to buffer against any, let's say, home culture when we don't have the balance right, and the calcium will help you with that. Carrie says, Nina, I have 2 dendrobiums with new growth. Should I repot them now? No. Wait. Wait until you see new roots starting on those growths. All right? Please don't. And when you see new little nubbins, like little green teeth, monster teeth coming out of the base, that is when you can repot. Yes, pencil shavings, a new name here. But the avatar looks familiar. Pencil shavings. Okay, I don't buy small leca separate. I can't get that, but I sort it out. I have started sorting out my leca into large and small. Very, very useful, very helpful, and there's no messing about. It just happens very quickly on a repot. You know what you need. I separate it out again after recycling, so if you're looking for small leca bowls, then you may have it where you are at, that they sell small and large. I don't get that, but if you get a normal bag of leca, then I do sort out the smaller ones. Orchid Ninja Bobson, hello. It's so good to see you. 3 days. You are a busy man. I hope your ribs were delicious. Bon appetit, mon ami. So kind of you to take a moment to come and join us here. And you are making something, making feed in listening mode. I appreciate that, Bet-san, so, so much. You see, that's another thing. Sometimes there's something to look at and there's just something to listen to. That's what I do when I listen to certain things on YouTube and I go about my business. I don't watch the screen, but I'm listening. So, okay, Bet said goodbye. Or did Carrie say goodbye? I hope that whoever said goodbye forgives me for not addressing that at the time. So it was wonderful. If anybody left, bye. Thank you so, so much for joining. I appreciate that. Yes, and there is a root on that one. I am so, so happy about it. And there's a root, I think you're actually referring to my little Ketiana that has got a little root sticking out. And the second growth is getting a spike. I don't even think that one bloomed for us last year, even though it grew 2 beautiful new growths. So, Carrie is getting new plants. Woohoo! Exciting. Okay, the trigger should make it. It likes the setup. It's basically on a okay, good stuff. Morten Lund, you live in Denmark. Tak. I used to go to Denmark a lot. A lot. I used to play golf there. I used to caddy there. I went there for business quite a few times. beautiful place when the sun is shining, I can assure you of that. So I went to Aarhus several times, Aalborg several times, Billund several times, and of course driving around all through, and I went up the tallest little hill that you guys have and back down again with a road. Betson says, I have a Psychopsis Mendenhall in bark in net pot lined in cocoa fiber, likes heat and humidity and hates the cold. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We agree. So I hope that was helpful, Morton. Stinky! You know what? Even after the stream last week, Stinky, I was still chuckling to myself. Welcome, by the way. It's so nice that you joined us. Even afterwards, I was still chuckling. I thought, only in the world of social media can you call somebody stinky and not offend the person. It just tickled me, even while here you are. It's good to see you. Thank you so much for taking a moment to be here. Even Debbie, hi Stinky. I mean, hello. Also the pencil shavings. What a wonderful handle. Sometimes I would love to, well, I don't know if people want to say, but I'm like, how did you get that name? Morten Lund says, I have 2 Psychopsis cremerianum, and so far so good. This type of Psychopsis don't produce that long. Oh, they don't. Interesting. Well, maybe if my circumstances change one day and I can take you through the disco lights that is my lighting system in the winter holding space, things might change. I had no idea. That's great. Well, thank you for sharing that, because I was clueless after I saw the Mendenhall and the butterfly and I don't know what, the one with all the 3 things, the weird and wacky. I never heard of the cromerianum. Yes, I've been around Denmark. And I must say I did like it there. I just thought your cars are far too expensive. I couldn't understand the car prices at all. And then when you know, for anybody who doesn't know, it seems like Denmark has car prices, even though across the border in Germany you can get it for maybe 30%. The same car in Denmark costs, instead of 30,000, it'll cost you 100,000, just like that. So when I saw people driving around in Porsche back in the day, I just thought, you're flashing a serious wallet with those wheels. And I'm like, I wouldn't dare. Yeah, it's good stuff. I really enjoyed Denmark, especially around Christmas time and all that business. And of course, we had a lot of business lunches in Tivoli. It was good. It was good. And I always had, oh my goodness, I feel so bad. I forget the name now. Oh, not the Gammeldansk. I couldn't stand Gammeldansk. Oh, you know that white liquor every Christmas they bring out a new bottle. I used to get those all the time. I used to collect those bottles every year. I forget it. But anyway, you can get pretty plastered very quickly if you go for a Christmas lunch in Denmark. Exactly, Linda. You see, that's what it is. Listening while going about and dealing with orchids, because even just a little thought or a conversation, you might go, oh, hang on a second, let me look at mine. You know, whatever it is, whether it's the same orchid or a bifoliate. But yeah, I'm the same way. When I listen to some videos and some podcasts, I'm like, oh, hang on a second, I forgot to check that one. And my memory is starting to fail me a little bit. So I actually pull the orchid out straight away when I know I have to do something with it, so that it is in my line of sight. And then I sometimes stand in front of the orchid and go, why are you here? You know, I'm at the phase where I need to have the elastic band, or that I keep ploying, 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 just to get my memory going around my wrist. And that's a good thing, Morton, because at least they have an infrastructure in Denmark for public transport. This is something that is lacking in Spain. We don't have the luxury of public transport in that sense of the word. By the time I have to get to a train, I'm already driving an hour. If I want to take a train, let's say from up the coast in Fuengirola, and I want to go to Malaga, by that time I'm almost parking in Malaga by the time I get to there and do the park and ride. The train stops in Fuengirola. It's like the rest, all the way out down to Gibraltar means nothing, but it's too congested. I wonder how they would do that. Anyway, if nobody has any more questions, I would say that I achieved something here today with you guys together, and I only lost one route because I was being silly. I was pushing my luck. We were pretty much done, and then there was like, oh, let me just address that one, and boom, we took off a good route, and I just saw a leca bee that had crawled its way into the space where I don't want it. It's what happens when you deal with round things. Oh, that gate, goodness me. But at least we don't have a party going on in the neighborhood. Tigrina, you have a Stanhopea tigrina, Carrie, that's great. My acidensis, one of the parents is Tigrina, is in a small birth, and it's growing like crazy. I know, isn't that amazing? You're afraid to transfer it to a larger basket because I know it doesn't like it. It'll love it. It will love it. You don't even have to change the media. Don't mess with any of the roots. It's going to create its own microclimate. You just take it out of the basket, put it in a bigger basket, media around the edges, and off you grow. Just go for it. Yes, absolutely. You don't have to wrestle with the old media. I promise you, Stanhopeas don't give as long as they have enough water, what they're potted up in. Mine, I don't know if you've ever seen my video with the care video for my Stanhopea, which, you know, Tigrina is mama or dada, which either one of the two, is in an inorganic material in a basket, hub filter material. Okay, we're on the move because Stan is right here. Okay, now I'm going to try and keep that straight. So you see the white layer around it and moss going everywhere? At least I hope so, because I still got that stupid message. And look at it, it has lifted itself out of that basket all by itself in the 3 or maybe it's 4 years now since I did that video, probably 4 years. The stand was down at the base of the basket and it's been wired in, and the thing that I did with the hub filter material was only for humidity's sake because it is so dry here. You can see the stress on the leaves, okay? That's just dry. If I had more humidity, we wouldn't be seeing this issue so badly. Up until 6 weeks ago, it was still lush and green. Now we're getting the dry air. So that's the stress that I was also mentioning to you, Orchid Ninja Bobson. Okay, if you're still here, that's what it looks like. You don't need to do that with yours because you can bring her inside. Anyway, that white material, that is extractor fan filter. And that's all it is. I have I have not done anything else. The orchid is creating her own microclimate around the base. Unfortunately, it's never ever going to be able to support all of this nonsense. So you've got a Tigrina. This has a Tigrina parent. Be prepared for beast mode. I love it. I know that he looks a little tired now, but you know what? We've got 8 spikes coming, which is also a good thing. So we are going to have ourselves some Stan the Man blooms. So yeah, just go for it. Don't mess with the root system. Get your orchid potted into, I know, right? Get your orchid potted up into something that you are comfortable with, and off you grow. I'm telling you, the first year I had my Stan, I had like 3 new growths, and I thought, well, hey, great. I was planning to get at least 4 Stanhopeas. That didn't happen. Other shiny things were attracting my attention. But anyway, the second year, that Stan grew 15 new growths in its second year with me. The third year I divided it. 50% is in Portugal. And it needed a cupboard of a box to send it. The box, it was like I was sending a piece of furniture, that size. But yeah, and last year, Carrie, last year I counted 42 new growths on the one that you just saw in the corner. So in hindsight, I'm so glad I saw other shiny things because I only have one of these to contend with and not four in total, which I was hoping to get. Oh, CalMag is just awesome. It is wonderful. Bruce Sun says, I just finished my first ever CalMag soak, hoping for great things. Igualmente pasa un buen fin de semana, and if you're out on the links or in, swinging the golf clubs and whatever, may the birdie gods rain upon you, and maybe even the Ace Lord. Who knows? All right? Either way, know that I'm envious, and I would probably sit at the ninth hole and, pass out refreshments, and I'll be there on the 18th green waiting for you. I can't do the walking anymore, and I certainly cannot caddy anymore. And driving around in a buggy just isn't my thing. I know, right, Carrie? So, last year I had about 21 spikes. This year, I'm kind of side-eyeing this orchid now, and I'm thinking, why am I only getting 8? But I think this orchid is kind of scared itself and thinks that maybe this female here just can't take care of me well enough in order for me to produce more spikes. Let's give her another year, test her, and see if she can provide for me, and then maybe next year we can get another good blooming. We shall see. I have my work cut out with this one, but I love it. I just love it when an orchid does what it does, like that. I kept making community posts because I couldn't believe I was seeing more new growths. I have a first new growth starting now already. We haven't even got the spikes to mature. But she did a weird thing. She produced a spike throughout the winter, which then bloomed in April, I think it was. 3 blooms. Either way, it's a great orchid. Don't be afraid of it. Exactly, and my basket is metal and it's on chains. So, and it's on one of those heavy duty, like really heavy duty hooks, cemented and bolted into the ceiling. So if something happens, I think the orchid is going to eat the basket before anything comes down. I can't take it off and down anymore. I can't set it down anymore. We're just going to let it do what it's doing up there. And if I ever leave the patio, we're going to need a van just for Stan. Ah, another rhyme. Sorry, I'm a bit corny now. But it is so, so nice. This one got calcium nitrate this morning as well. And I just stand on the chair and just mist and mist and mist until it's absolutely dripping. I come back at 1 o'clock just as the sun moves away to the other side of the patio. So now it's in full shade. Otherwise, it's behind a towel. I cover it up. It looks like a ghost up there. It's completely covered. And then 1 o'clock, I do the same thing, but with plain water, just to flush out anything if something got in there to evaporate too quickly before it could be absorbed. And then at night, this time of year, around 8:30, I go in again with just plain water to keep it humid throughout the night. And so that in the morning, when I then go for my first fertilizer again, it's dry, behind a towel, at night, protected from the wind. It's dry. So what I'm working with mine is, if I can keep the moss happy and have the moss not die back during the summer, that means this orchid is getting enough water. I'm telling you, this thing is a drinker. Eating me and drinking me out of house and home. I love it. Morton, thank you so, so much. Yes, you do tend to eat early, 5 p.m. It was usually when I noticed. We used to have lunch at 11 a.m. and yep, absolutely. So thank you so much for being here, and bon appetit. And I think you left a message, and I'm just yapping away about here. That liquor, that white liquor, or sometimes it's got a golden yellow thing to it. Eula something or other. Eula something. If you're gone, never mind, I'll find it. But it was Eula something, and it was great. Smooth, delicious, dangerous. Yeah, just make sure that you have exactly a stud. Definitely. And then enjoy the growing habit. It's wonderful, absolutely wonderful. We need orchids like these in our lives. It gives us the feeling we know what we're doing, and it makes it all the more fun. Then we go back to our little rescues and think, oh, please, please, please. Anyway, if there are no further questions, I'm just going to say thank you to everybody that did make it. Just even if you didn't say hi, you were just listening. I so appreciate your time. And we're going to do this again very soon, my friends. Well, probably Saturday next week. And in that instance, I'm going to wish you a beautiful day, a wonderful Sunday, on the one condition though, please, that you stay safe. Take care, everybody. Thank you for your support here. Bye. Bye, Julian S. Son in France. I will never forget that now.